everybody. We're back again with the Elite Show. I'm John Alite. And remember, friends, my soldiers, hit the subscribe button. And if you like us, comment. And I got a special show today. I'm at our friend's studio today, the Berman team, outrageous group of lawyers. Anybody needs attorneys, these are the people for you. Here's my co-host, Mike Dowd.
I don't know what I'm doing here again, but I'm here again, and I'm happy to be here at the Berman Group in Boca Raton, Boca Raton.
Yeah, Boca Raton.
And we're happy to have on this show, we're going to have a special guest, MMA fighter, a Florida Hall of Famer, Matt Granahan. Am I saying it right?
Granahan. I am actually Irish, and I always say I may not look Irish, but you should see my temper.
I thought you were going to say something else.
Oh, no.
Yo, Shillelagh, maybe.
Oh, yeah. Now, fortunately, I had the Sicilian blessing.
There you go.
I heard you're resting all week. You've been rested for St. Patty's Day next week.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm ready. I'm ready for St. Patrick's Day. I hope everybody else is as well. And it's great to be here with you guys. I'm ready to get this thing started, rock and roll.
And we got a friend of ours in the grandstand, up-and-coming ball player from Florida, actually originally New York, our guy Ben.
Ben Stacks.
Ben. Great to see you, Ben.
How you doing?
Yeah, he's in the shadows. He's in the shadows. And we have our great staff here. Evan. All right, Evan's waving, giving a shout out. And his protege to be. What's your name again, sir?
Gabriel.
Gabriel's here
nice.
in the background.
Nice.
He's going to keep it all tight for us as the show progresses.
So we're going to do some interesting things today. So everybody, let's look forward to it. Matt, just give a little background about yourself so people that don't know you,
Sure. People like to call me the pernicious purveyor of preposterous pomposity.
Oh, my God. It sounds like the BBB. Are you a BBB guy or the PPP?
I'm a little bit of a troublemaker at times, a provocateur, if you will. I recently caused the divorce of the nature boy Ric Flair. Which we can talk a little bit about.
Do you know Sunny Beach? Do you ever hear of a guy named Sunny Beach?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I got a story.
Definitely. I want to hear that.
You know, Ric Flair was next door to me.
Yeah.
He had his gym when I had American Cowboy with my partner, Cam. And he actually went partners after that, Cam, with Terry. The
Hulkster. Yes.
With Hogs down in Ybor City. So we got a relationship, me and Rick, too.
Nice.
What'd you do to him?
Well, we'll get into that. I know you guys need to cut to an ad real quick, but we'll get into that as the show progresses.
Definitely. So, Mike, where are we going today? Where we driving this car to?
Well, first of all, you told me there's this Phil Baroni story who I've actually met. I don't want to say anything. I don't want to spoil the baby here right now.
I just we wanted to cut my intro, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So
we could do your intro at the end.
Oh, shit.
You know what I mean?
I didn't even think about that.
Let's just keep flowing and bring your intro.
You want to do that? You want to? Okay, good. Because I was waiting on doing the intro.
Yeah, no, I know you were. I know.
That's why.
Let's do your intro at the end. Because we're moving.
Okay, let's rock
and roll.
We'll
Am I right? Am I right, Evan?
I agree.
Beautiful.
All right. Am I right, Junior? All right.
I like that.
All right, so here we are. Yes. Ready? Boom. Yeah, so I think you're going to talk about a little Phil Baroni story. You know Phil Baroni?
I've known Phil for years. I managed Phil for a number of years. Was a friend and training partner of mine. He's a hard guy to handle, and I've got so many Phil Baroni stories. Oh my God, I got so many Phil Baroni stories. The last time I saw you, John, we did a press conference together in Jersey, Atlantic City, and we talked about a possible fight between Phil Baroni and Gotti III, and maybe a boxing match between you.
Well, I'll tell you a funny story with that. So when I go see Phil for the first time, I pull up to his house, and there's 6 cop cars there, and they're looking to arrest him. Everybody's petrified of him, and I pull up, and in the media, people turned it around and said I had a problem with somebody, and I called the police, some nonsense. And when I pull up...
Wait, you were there to meet him for the first time?
Me and Phil. I
know
Phil
knew
since
Phil.
He's a kid.
Okay. It sounded like you met him for the first time.
No, he lived in my house,
Okay.
but I haven't seen him in a couple of years.
Okay.
He used to live with me as a kid.
Oh, you raised him?
Yeah, I know Phil very well.
Okay.
And the father.
Oh, that's a different story.
The father was a partner of mine on the street. He was a cop, and he was my partner.
I heard of this guy, but go ahead.
So when I pull up to Phil's house
in Nassau County,
and we're setting up a fight, and when pay-per-view came to talk to Matt and myself.
This is at the time?
This is, what, about a year?
This was in August. This was back in August, right?
So this
Over the
past
summer.
August.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
because I saw a little skit come up on YouTube or FaceTime or Facebook or one of those things. With
Yeah,
the police. You were there with the police.
Yeah,
Did you
yeah.
call the police on Phil?
Of course not. Hey, so, they turned the story around that.
Oh, is that what happened? The haters
Well,
got you? The haters got
for
you?
him,
The haters got
for
you?
me, for me and Phil. So when I get there, the police are petrified, and I go, listen, rightfully so, not petrified, but they don't want the problem.
Why would you be there?
Because we're setting up the pay-per-view fight.
I had him
With
to go. I had him there to meet him.
So it all just fell into place.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We should probably tell Mike here what this was all about, this press conference. There was talk when Gotti III started fighting. He called Phil out to a fight because of
He
the
called him out?
history. Yeah, Gotti III called Phil out to a fight because of the history with Phil and his father and with the Gambino family.
Right.
And that's something that we should let people know first so they understand this. And John, you could talk. You can explain that. What's the history of Phil Sr. and Jr. with yourself and the Gambino family?
What happened was Phil was a cop, started working with me, the father, did robberies with me. He actually was one of the guys that was with me when we robbed Tommy Karate, for the people that said, this didn't happen or that Phil was one of the guys. And on the father's behalf, the father was not with his hands, not like his son. He ain't a tough guy. But otherwise, he had balls, and he wouldn't leave you. So the thing about the father, people got to understand, the father was loyal to me, but in certain things. But when it came to money, the father had no loyalty to anybody, not even to his own son or his mother or anybody else. This was his downfall for the father.
Something I want to ask you, John. Phil Sr. was a Gold Star detective. He retired. When did he start working with you? At what point in his career? Was he still on the force, or was it after?
No, he was still on the force. He was getting off the force at that time. And we started getting friendly through a cousin of his that grew up with me, another guy, Phil. And we used to meet at the video stores, and we'd talk, and we'd hang out. He was a little standoffish at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then I had to maneuver him a little bit.
Sure.
I got him closer. And as I got
How'd you
closer,
maneuver him? How'd you maneuver him? Little flash?
The
Little
loyalty
flash
of-
bang? The little flash bang?
Cash,
You got-
Atlantic City.
Flash the
He
cash,
liked to
baby.
gamble. And he liked sports. So that was my in, because I was a bookmaker, too.
Okay,
So
yeah.
we would talk sports.
Amongst your other careers, you were
Yeah.
a bookmaker.
Yeah, I was multifaceted.
Multifaceted.
So when I get him close to me, he's actually the one, and we'll get into Sammy a little bit also. He's the one that gives me the information that John Gotti Sr. and Sammy Gravano are going to get pinched in 1990. He gets the
He knew
information.
it?
And because Joe
He wasn't
called.
with Caracapo and Steve.
We're going to get into Mafia Cops. You're one
That's
of them.
another story. I'm not a mafia cop. Maybe I should have. I work with a few of them.
What he is he's very friendly with Joe Coffey. So Joe's giving him
Joe Coffey
information.
is a big shot.
Joe died.
Yeah. Just recently though.
He died a couple of years back. Yeah.
Okay, well, recently.
Well, yeah.
in the
Within
chain
the
of
last
life, in the chain of
decade.
life, it was.
Yeah.
Within the last 5 years,
Yeah.
I think.
And then we had Phil was partners also with Jimmy Iannello.
Right.
That was his name. The driver of Morgantown, the district attorney.
Okay.
Which Phil is working him for me, and then eventually I have Phil work him. Eventually I have him with me, and I got these guys, giving me information and maneuvering.
What does this have to do with getting Phil Baroni Jr. arrested in Long Island?
Because at the time, Phil Baroni Sr. lives around the corner from me in Woodhaven.
Okay.
I moved to Cherry Hill.
Right.
Phil comes with me, buys a house across the street.
Keep an eye on you. Good cop.
The
Smart.
son,
He's
Phil
smart.
Baroni Jr., is a tough guy, right?
Yeah,
Wild
he's
kid since he's a kid, a wrestler.
Yeah.
I like the kid a lot. Everybody knows that.
Yeah, I love
I
Phil.
liked him because he had a hard life.
Yeah.
And, when his father kind of left him out there.
Oh yeah.
And, I would argue with the father, and then I took Phil Jr. in my house.
Okay, so
And he lived with me for a while.
okay.
So when Phil was a kid, he lived in Massapequa and Queens. He would go back and forth because his mom was in Massapequa.
Okay.
He had an
His
abusive
mom was a good
stepfather,
woman. His
too.
mom was
yeah.
a good woman.
Yeah, Phil had a tough time. He had an abusive stepfather. You think Massapequa, you think
I wish
money.
we had Phil in on this. Where is Phil right now?
He's in Mexico.
Oh, okay.
He
No
writes
wonder.
me every day.
Every day he tells me to come
Okay.
down there. I'm supposed to be going down there in April, and
All right.
I may not
So
come
now
back.
you're in front of the house.
I want to get Phil a major fight. He deserves it. He's one of the tougher guys out there. Even at his age, he can handle himself in a ring. And one
Has
thing
he slowed
about him,
down a step or two?
he slows like everybody slows,
Okay.
but he's got a good jaw.
He's got a good jaw. There you go.
And he's got balls. He's a tough guy. He comes forward.
Right. Let me
so
explain.
He's an exciting fighter. You know that.
Let me explain the difference. Gotti the Third, he's a tough kid, but his opponents have all been sponsored by Hunts. If you guys get the joke, that's an old joke. Tomato cans, baby. Yeah. So Phil Baroni has fought the very toughest, the very best. Frank Shamrock, you list it. He fought for the
Did
title
you ever
in
fight square off with
UFC.
Phil at all or no?
I'm a little heavier than Phil, but I grappled a lot with Phil and wrestled a lot with him, and he's very strong,
Yeah.
very good tendon strength, very good
Yeah,
wrestler.
yeah.
And
He still has the strength.
And Phil has always been good with his hands.
Yeah.
Always. Now, you look at that bare knuckle boxing fight with Chris Lieben. I booked Phil for that fight, and it looks like he may have taken a dive. Phil's always been a little bit shady of a guy, but he's a great guy. And
He might have took a dive?
Yeah, he's
listen,
Phil's a street guy.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you a story. I'm going to tell you guys. I want to
You
tell
think
the
there might have
story.
been some cash laying for
Listen,
the dive?
Oh, definitely.
You think so?
Yeah, that guy went to prison.
I
The
can't
guy
picture
who-
Phil diving for nothing.
So the guy
though.
who ran that bare knuckle boxing promotion
Well, let me tell you
is
one
in
thing, so
prison
people.
now.
I don't
Yeah.
want to cut you up.
Go ahead.
Phil, as a kid, came with me when I did some serious bang down doors and heists.
Not the father.
The father
son.
did
No,
too.
different.
No, they
Did
never
they work
came with-
together?
They didn't come together with
okay.
me. Separate
Baroni.
occasions. But little Phil came with me and the kid Joe Kane, he was with me on that. He was with me on a couple other things.
Phil used to use some
Phil
of the
was
cradles
tough.
I taught him. The cradle guys up.
Well, I told you know what I would do, so I
Yeah.
wouldn't have to use weapons. We'd
Yeah.
come in, I
Cradle
said,
guys
Phil,
up.
put him down. Take him down, tie him up, do this.
If you know what a cradle is, Phil had
know what
really
a
good
cradle is.
cradles. Cradle guys up
Yeah.
and hold them
Yeah.
so that you don't have to,
But the
Bob?
father would
I
come
wrestled
in.
for an hour once.
What was her name? What
half
was her
Nelson,
name?
Yeah, what was that?
half Nelson chicken wing.
The father came in though with guns only.
Yeah.
He wasn't with his hands.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's the difference in father.
So
and
you're
son.
at the Nassau County. You call the police on Phil. Go ahead. Because you know the Gotti people are calling you a rat. You're no good. You're a piece of shit. You called on Phil. Go ahead. So you put Phil in the police car. What happens next?
Wait, let's get the story straight. I was sitting in a penitentiary in Brazil when Gotti was ratting.
Oh, okay.
Let's get that straight.
Let's clear it out.
But he only went there for lunch.
Yeah, lunchtime.
Okay, but I want to get into somebody else, and we're going to implement them here because he had a big mouth. Phil Baroni was a professional, tough guy fighter.
Right.
And Gotti's kid is a tough kid, and he's a fighter, professional. These guys are out there fighting. They put a fight deal together. Me and Matt talked. An idiot, Sammy Gravano, who can't box a fruit basket.
Sammy used to pay guys to let him beat him up. He used to go to a gym where my uncle used to go, famous gym in New York, and Sammy used
Gleason's,
to grease
yeah.
the owner
Gleason's,
so that and let the guys he'd let the guys hit him. He could to call Sammy Gravano a scumbag is insulting to used condoms. Let me
Oh,
just
really?
say that.
Okay.
Well, he implemented himself in this.
Yeah.
Saying, because he tried to get some popularity out of what we were doing and all of our names and this and that. So he implements himself. We shouldn't be involved with people's kids. You fucking moron. They're professional fighters. It was a pay-per-view
Right.
offering. We sat down. We were trying to put the deal together between all of us and the people that approached us. So, he did a couple of videos and
Sammy Gravano said, you don't ever talk about the family. First of all,
this guy just wrecked the Gotti family.
yeah,
family?
exactly. He put them in.
His son's selling drugs.
Exactly.
Come on. Give me a
He just
fucking
uses
break.
it for content. And there's a place up
He
the
was selling
street.
drugs, Sammy, not the
Yeah,
son. He
whatever,
blamed it on
the
the son.
whole-
I want to
whatever.
ask.
God bless.
Speaking of Sammy Gravano, there's a place up the street here in Boca that we went and visited. Great guys over at Valuetainment. You're their top guest, and they just did this whole thing with Sammy Gravano and Michael Franzese. I want to ask you, what do you think about these? They're constantly glorifying this Sammy Gravano.
Well, I tell everybody the problem is, and I just did something in Denmark about my friend Klaus, who was, one of the top gangsters in Europe, and we're still friends. We did time together in Brazil, and the glorification of these guys, they're not out doing work. Sammy used a gun once out of 19 murders. He keeps telling everybody what a tough guy he is, what a killer he is. They don't put themselves in harm's way. They come in a room with 6 guys or 7 guys, and they shoot a guy from the back of the head, and he never even did that. So, when people ask me, I say, talk specific. Sit across from me and let's talk about who did work. because these guys didn't do any work.
What's this
I
have to
grew
do
up
with Phil
in the-
Baroni in the back of the patrol car in Nassau County?
Well, it's all
Because
ties
Sammy,
in because
Sammy
Sammy
made a
interjected.
comment about he interjected himself.
interjected
See, I got lost out in the woods here.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
And Michael Francis.
And I'm pretty sharp.
Michael Francis, when he go, I don't watch that stuff, to be
Yeah.
honest with you. I do my own thing and that's it. But Michael's an intelligent speaker.
Very, very great host,
So
too.
whatever went on in those shows with them going back and forth at each other. By the way, they put my picture up there and my name to help themselves get a little leverage.
A lot of showmanship there. That was like WrestleMania there. The way they promoted
Sammy's
that.
too stupid. Michael will run circles
I still
around.
don't know why Phil why'd you have Phil arrested? I still don't understand. Why did you have Phil arrested?
That's Sammy's team, and I guess the guys who were, putting out the fake news.
Okay,
like
so why is he in the
CNN.
patrol car? Why is he put? I saw him.
So he goes in the patrol car because he had a fight with the guy that he was living with next
okay.
door.
So that's what I wanted
And
to
the guy
know.
was scared shit. And then when the police were there, they're scared to go in because Phil's a fucking
Yeah,
tough
they
guy.
know he's crazy.
And they know it's going to take about 10 of them to take him down.
Yeah.
So when I show up, I says, "Relax, let me talk to him. He'll be a gentleman. He'll come out.
Right.
He's a good kid. He's just got a bad temper when someone fucks him over."
Right.
So he came out like a gentleman. And, the police were good to him. He went in, he got arrested. And then the fake news came out with all these guys. So, the jealousy of Phil, they're scared to fight Phil Baroni.
Okay.
And, the kid's tough. I keep saying the same thing. At this age, he ain't a kid. He's in mid-40s.
Right.
And
He's an older man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
Phil's
got
an
a lot
older
of
man.
fight in him still.
Yeah,
So,
he's an older man, and like I said, this would be great for Gotti III if Gotti III could beat him. But they're trying to protect the young man so much. And the other aspect of it is, so many people don't know that the third is even fighting.
Well,
So
we
this
did-
would be
we
great
don't-
to get him exposure, national exposure, with a guy that's been on major shows for UFC, Pride with Phil Baroni. This kid is fighting, this Gotti III, he's fighting on these local shows for the same promotion, SESMA. And I can tell you right
Yeah, I
now,
know Sesma's a
Derek
good friend,
Panza, I talked to Derek Panza, who's this guy, and talked to
Right.
SESMA. They wanted this fight. His father, Gotti Jr., didn't want him to take
Well,
it.
listen, as a father, you protect your son. So I understand that part, right? As a father, he's protecting his son. But there's a lot of fighters out there now that Phil could still fight.
Sure.
And he was in Mexico cleaning up there. He
Yeah.
fought a lot over there. And, so he still got fight in him. I watched him. Everybody loses that little bit of speed. But he makes it up with toughness, and he makes it
Sure.
up with punching power and technique. So he's still some guys that we can line him up with to fight.
Yeah.
He dances,
Yeah.
he sings, he's cocky bastard, he's a good looking kid, he's
Yeah.
cocky.
Great
But
robes.
He's a crazy spender. He's like, I don't want people to think that he's stealing the money for the money, because he really ain't. He'll go next door now and buy the whole bar drinks. And this and
Yeah.
that.
Oh, yeah.
Those girls have to be victims of what he did. But if he was out with them, he'd buy him 10 bottles of champagne. He was crazy. That's why he got himself in trouble, because he just spent for everything.
Yeah.
So
Spent
I
a lot
have
of
one
money.
little Phil Baroni story, but it's
Yeah.
actually hilarious. So I go out one night with Mike and Alex, who are friends of ours,
Right.
through another venue. Mike's a retired cop and Alex is a retired cop, and they want me to come out and they meet this guy Phil Baroni, because I have a little bit of a celebrity thing, and Phil's got a little celebrity thing. So we want us to meet each other, say hello, have a conversation, and a nice dinner, a steak dinner, which.
What's the name of your show again?
Oh, 7-5?
Yeah,
The
that's the
7-5.
one. And you were on
Spell
Joe,
it out.
You were on Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan, yeah.
And you were on Coco.
Coco Diaz, and I've
want
been
some
around.
Joey
I've been
Coco.
around.
And you're on a really good show now, the Elite Show.
Then the Elite Show is my favorite show.
There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah. Unless they do a TV series or my movie, I'll take that too. But that's in the works. That's been in the works now for 7 years, as they say, right? So Phil Baroni knows who I am, but we've never met. And the guys, the cops are there. They're friends of mine. We're sitting there and we're having a dinner at a nice steakhouse. I forget if I said Capital One Grill, I could be wrong. It was a nice steakhouse. All I know is I wasn't paying, and I'm good, right? Nice. I'm good for a free steak dinner. So we get inside. We're sitting down. And I meet this guy Phil, nice guy, and I don't know him. He's not a big guy. He's not an imposing guy, but you can see he's in really good shape still, And I'm an old man now, so I know when someone's in good shape, I got to be careful, right? Because if he's going to throw a left or a right, I either got to run.
Am I still in good shape?
Yeah, all right. But you're not as
great
fast as you
shape.
used to be.
Great
You're not
shape.
as fast as you used to be. So, but
I'm working on
what are
hand
you
speed
threatening to
again.
hit me? You're going to hit
No,
me
I
now?
just
I
want to
mean,
know.
you
You're
just-
very close to me. The left comes right up
Yeah, I
close.
know. So Phil's sitting there at dinner with us, and we're talking about qualifications, shape, sizes, and whatnot. So Phil, I said, "What are you, 5'8", 5'9"? To Phil Baroni? I I'm 6 foot all day long.
Phil's about, because I'm 5'8", he's about, well, I'm with heels, I'm 5'8". But he's about, Phil's a little taller than me, he's about 5'9", 5'10".
Okay, so I go 5'8", 5'9", you know, and he looks at me like I just punched him with a left and a right? Yeah. And I look at the guy like, what's that? I mean, he's annoyed. Right? So I'm sitting with Mike, who's a monster, and Alex, they're monsters. So I got a little protection for a minute anyway. But I don't know that this guy is fuming. So he gets up, he stands up, he goes, how tall do you think I am? I says, I don't know, 5'8", 5'9". I'm 6 foot. I stand next to him. I'm 2 inches over him at least. So at this point, you know, I know, because he's telling everybody he's 6 foot tall. Right? I don't know that.
All fighters.
He sits back down.
Height is
He sits back down. We finished dinner. He's on Wyatt. He's Wyatt. I don't know what's going on with this guy. We're eating. All right, nice to meet you, Phil. Yeah, nice to meet you. We leave. I get a message the next day from Mike, the cop. Phil Baroni hasn't slept all night. He wants to kill you. I go, what? For what? I mean, we had a good time. He was a nice guy. I was nice enough. He says,
let me tell you.
You told him he was 5'8". He hasn't. He said, for weeks, Phil, for weeks.
That doesn't surprise me.
For weeks, he harassed Mike. I want to meet this guy. I'm fucking not 5'8".
Hey, Phil,
I'll tell you something.
By the way, Phil, I'm still behind you. I'm still in your corner.
He was, I don't know, 17, 18 years old, I guess, at the time. And just recently, I seen it on a video too. He was walking out of a place. We were, he was young. I figured we were coming out of a restaurant, whatever. And a guy knew him. A kid knew him. And when he was walking out, he kind of went to hit him, playing around. And Phil flinched, and Phil laughed. He goes, "That's funny." Boom, hit him with a left hook, put the kid down.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you.
And I'm gonna tell you something, because the kid hit him, fucking around. And as a kid, my father used to tell me, if they put your hands on him, hurt him. Like your friends, anybody, not hurt him, like punch him in the face like he did, but go to his body. So then, just recently, I was watching a tape with Phil, and somebody did it to him, actually. This is while he's fighting pro. Somebody did hit him to the body, a little playing around. You remember? Phil dug into his ribs and put him down. Oh, and I laughed. I says, well, the kid deserves it. What is he hitting Phil for in the stomach? He thought it was cute. So,
I'll tell you a couple funny stories. So, I was back in, I think it was 2015.
We each get one. Come on,
but this is you'll love this.
Oh, it's a combo.
This is a comedy
It's a combo.
Story. So 2015, I'm supposed to be tagging with Phil at this pro wrestling show in Vegas, right? And I get over there, I land in Vegas, and I can't get a hold of him. And this is typical for him. He's flown off to Thailand. Now he was still married at the time. So I called Angela, his wife at the time. We sent pictures of him in bed together in Thailand just to piss him off. Oh, he was going apeshit. And I said, are you going to come back? You're going to fly back now? So we can have the match. And Phil used to always stay at my house in South Carolina when I had the house on Lake Murray in Irma. And I got so sick of having him at the house. So he hooked up with one of my neighbors. She was a little older but attractive lady. And I just had him stay there just to keep him away from me. And I go over there. And he's yelling at her, and he's calling her, "You old hag, you old lady," and because she, whatever it was about. So yeah, he's entertaining guy.
Hey, we got 3/4 of the show about Phil Baroni here, and one other subject matter we wanted to talk about was you said something about his dad worked with you.
I
had a question. Yeah, I had a question, and I'll let you guys talk about this. So I was going to ask with Mike Dowd's background. And with law enforcement, Phil Baroni, Gold Star Detective, Phil Sr., and working with you, what do you think, John, are the similarities and differences between Mike Dowd and Phil Baroni Sr.?
All right, so both guys in their situation, Mike all over East New York, Brownsville, 7'5", had balls. Guys could say what they want. He walked in, doesn't matter if he did what he did was wrong or right. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about having the balls to do what he did. Because he dealt with some dangerous guys, shook them down, robbed them, did different things that you get killed like this. They're not guys that weren't dangerous. It was very dangerous. Phil, on the other hand, had balls also. When people say, talk about Phil, I stick up for him in a lot of ways because you walk into, and we robbed Tommy Karate's drug spot. Yeah. Most guys don't want to do it. He had no qualms with it. Face up, we didn't go with masks, we didn't do anything. So when you get guys like these guys like that, they're tougher. And they got more balls than all the gangsters I was on the street with. So when people tell me about gangsters, I'll tell you about gangsters too. These guys are gangsters. These guys were doing serious things. The guys that I know from the street, 9/10 of them, I say the same thing, are frauds. They don't have no balls. They're not going to go. But Phil was, when he was on a job, he was, he was involved with narcotics, and he was, what is that called when he's a drug guy, and they're doing a drug bust.
Undercover. He's a UC.
He's an undercover, yeah. So he's used to going through that door, so there was no qualms with me. Now, with his hands, he wasn't a tough guy. Mike will fight with his hands. And
I'll lose most of my fights, but I'll fight.
you'll fight.
But I'll fight. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
that's
Yeah, I will fight,
Irish.
but I will lose
'Cause
most of them. But I'll do okay. 40, 60,
Listen,
60-40.
You guys know I grew up with a ton of Irish guys. The McBrides, the McGoverns, the Donahues. I grew up and they all fight. Win or lose, the Clearys, Murchie, Tommy Murch. This kid was a tough guy. These guys fight. Whether win or lose, stupid or not, people say, this guy's fucking dumb. He's fighting 5 guys who got bats. But they fight.
Irish gangsters are very tough,
Very
too.
tough.
Saudis.
And now that it's St. Patty's Day, I want to say that because I do a lot of radio shows in Ireland. I talk about a professional fighter like John Duddy. These guys are serious guys. Jimmy Burke as a gangster, Goodfellas, tough guy. His son Frankie was a tough guy. Unfortunately, got killed young. So when I got involved with Irish gangsters, so Irish street guys, one thing they do is they have the pride to fight.
Yeah.
And when people say something different to me, I laugh. That's why I say I hate when someone goes by a nationality. Say, he's Italian and he's a gangster. Well, this guy's black and he's a tough guy too.
Yeah.
And don't give me that nonsense about, this guy, because I grew up in those mixed neighborhoods. But the difference between Phil and Mike is Phil has no loyalty. And here's my biggest mistake as a kid. My father told me this. He said he doesn't take care of his own kid.
Yeah.
The dollar bill rules over his own kid. He let his mother wash toilets after I made him a multimillionaire, and he didn't take care of her. So what loyalty do you think he's going to have with you? And he's right. What was I thinking? Mike, on the other hand, he might not want to go in the pocket, the cheap bastard.
I'm cheap.
But he comes out with it.
Yeah, no,
He's
I'm
like
cheap.
this. I got to help him take his hand and go, come on,
I'm
Mike.
cheap because I know how to live
Nah,
with the
I
nine
can't.
means
I
now.
can't.
All right,
He's a gentleman.
I got to monitor him. Otherwise,
he's
we
crazy in different ways.
we'd both be sleeping on a beach tonight if I didn't monitor this guy because he spends like it don't end.
Who?
You.
Yeah, he goes.
He spends like it doesn't end. I said, Johnny, we can't spend 800 a night.
why I
You got
got
2 nights
jeans
worth of
with-
money. After that, it's over.
I got jeans
You got
with
holes.
rips in 'em.
I don't even have a whole pair. I got shorts. I had to sell the other half.
But
He sold his pants on the way in here.
as they talk about mafia cops, Ippolito and Caracappa, whatever his name was. And, I did a show on him with another guy, Frankie Steele, Frankie Pontillo, who's, a street guy, gangster. His father did like 50-something years in prison. Sammy Cigarettes was a friend of mine, and I know him since I'm a kid. Used to hang around Tony Lee and Fat Andy and those guys. Anyway, when you talk about gang, these guys were serious guys. Like, when people want to, the funny thing is, and another guy, Ricky Dion, that was a cop in Rhode Island, and guys in jail wouldn't talk to him. He's a big guy, tough guy, because he was a cop. But on the street, they deal with him. And they do business with him just like they do. And then they got this bullshit thing about, he's a cop. Then what are you doing business with him on the street for?
That actually leads me to this question, because one of the things, and I've talked to Larry Maz about this in this studio too. In Cosa Nostra, you're not supposed to talk to law enforcement, talk to the law. But if you look at the way the cartels do it in Mexico, they're interwoven with the federales.
Oh yeah,
and I mean you would
So the
think.
mobsters here, that's
They are, but the rule, the quote unquote.
Well, the rule is this:
Yeah.
you got to go through your boss. Like when I was talking to Phil Gotti, the father knew about it. When I was getting information to help Jeannie Gotti and Johnny Connecticut with their case, I brought Phil. So to meet Jeannie and different guys in Villa Russo on 101st Avenue. We met in the Sallyport. So it's okay as long as they know of the guy.
Sure, look at
And
Whitey Bulger.
They want to watch the guy.
Whitey Bulger had a badge. Look at Greg Scarpa. He had a badge. He did work for the feds.
Listen, most of that, we talked about.
we talked about the other day.
When the mob was, I'm talking about Vito Genovese days, Lucky Luciano. These guys used to drop dimes on the other crews.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
Here's
Yes,
when the prohibition
sure.
days.
When we talk about loyalty with the mob shit, the loyalty stuff that you guys talk about, there's no loyalty because I'll tell you what. The minute someone, here's one of the things that I fall down with the mob stuff that they talk about. So you got a mob guy and mob family. It's okay for the mob family to tell on another mob family, right? To the police.
Yeah.
All right. Now when a guy gets jammed up and he starts talking. He says to me, well, you shouldn't have talked. Well, you shouldn't have said anything.
Yeah.
And you go, it's only good for you to say something. But you robbed my house, you shoot my mother, and I can't say, I'm not allowed to call the police, though?
Exactly.
What the fuck you?
Well, listen, I'm sitting in a penitentiary in Brazil, right?
Yeah.
The whole Bonanno family flips. The whole family. While I'm sitting there being loyal, leaving my family, my kids, and while I'm there, who runs a Bureau of Prisons, jails is a Bureau of Prisons. Who moves you is the marshals. There's no reason federal police come into a fucking jail unless you're debriefing or they want to talk to you about ratting. Okay. So Gotti himself says in 1998, I believe, when he goes to see his father, the feds were in a room with him. What were they doing there with you? The father didn't want him there, but they okayed his visit because at that point, in my opinion, he was cooperating. Since then, because this would involve the marshals for that visit. This would involve the Bureau of Prisons, not the FBI.
Exactly.
So if the FBI is sitting there, you got the permission as an acting boss to see the boss, your father, and your father was disgusted. He says, "What's this word, closure?" But at that point, I believe he was an informant. But by 2005, he's an informant. There's no excuse. You sat down, you gave up Danny Marino, who couldn't get a bail because of you, and he ended up staying in prison because you were cooperating. Johnny Gams and different guys. Now, when you're cooperating against these guys, not only did they get stuck in jail and take pleas and go to jail, so with that nonsense, I didn't testify against somebody. Yeah, you did. They all took pleas. They all stayed in jail. But you opened up dozens of investigations against other guys, and other guys flipped when they went to him. Guys like whoever, Mikey Scars or this guy or that guy that were flipping, or guys, well, Mikey flipped before him, but other guys that flipped and started feeding information just like him because they knew he was in. So when you cannot flip that, and the problem with the mob is they're okay with certain guys ratting or certain guys sitting down. They're so weak, they don't even say, he's a fucking rat.
Well,
now,
think about
why
it.
don't they say it? Because of what reason? He's a rat. They know he's a rat. They chased him. It was all over the headlines. So when they try to switch and flip the script, when a guy like me sitting in a penitentiary and you're talking and you're ratting and you're sitting down with the feds and you got the FBI in the jail with you, there's no reason for that FBI to be in that room with you when you're sitting there to talk with your father. And the father knew that. He was disgusted.
Of course.
And he goes, do what you want, because he was very sick at the time he was dying. And the biggest thing about them is, how do they they spent so much energy, his sister on me and not on Sammy Gravano, who really put him there and killed him in jails and made him suffer.
Put their father to die in prison.
Because it's really not about the father. They talk all that nonsense, but it's about themselves.
And they have all those trolls, too. But one other thing I wanted to mention that you talked about, look at the example in the Colombo family with Greg Scarpa. And they knew, the bosses knew that Greg Scarpa was an informant. They knew that he was with the feds. But they gave him dirty work to do because they knew he could get away with it. So it made sense to work with the government.
Yeah. So what does it really mean then?
Yeah. I take Lucky Luciano, very famous guy.
Yeah.
Do you know that 17 years old he talked, he gave himself up and he was ratting with drugs, and he said, "Oh, I was only a kid at the time." What kind of fucking answer is that? So I say that anytime it's okay for them. People
if it benefits,
it's okay if it benefits them.
Yeah.
But there is no real loyalty for anybody. That's why I'm always talking about, if you want to be in the street, be aware that there's no loyalty to you.
Yeah.
The only loyalty you're going to have is your own personal family members, and even sometimes that.
Oh, that's
by
not always.
yourself.
That's not guaranteed.
No.
That's not guaranteed at all.
So the loyalty, in life is about self-preservation.
Right.
Anybody, unless you're in the Marines or the Army, where guys are dying for each other.
In the
and
hole.
taking
You're
each
in the
other's back,
foxhole with
the
each other.
foxhole.
Yeah.
My friends like Brian Basho, I always talk about, or Lance. These guys were military, tough guys, Marines. JD, these guys put their lives out there and saved people's lives. And, guys were, these guys are
Have you spoken to your friends
heroes.
about this Ukraine thing going on? And what's going on? I mean, you're Ukrainian, right?
I'm Albanian.
He's
Oh,
Albanian.
sounds the same.
It rhymes.
It sounds the same.
Listen, you want to talk about,
rhymes.
I give a quick overview of this.
Go ahead. We want to hear it.
This is about
That's enough.
This is about resetting the global economy with this bullshit about the United States. Our president, unfortunately, I don't want him to be mine, Joe Biden, has destroyed this country in a year.
Yeah.
He made deals with Ukraine a couple of years prior to this
Correct.
war.
We remember
they
that?
pushed this
Yeah.
agenda. They're not part of NATO. I'm sorry for the people, just like I was very sorry for our country, Albania and Kosovo, and the things we went through.
Right.
And nobody helped us for a long time before everybody was butchered. Those children and those women and those people that are sacrificing, I do feel bad for. But we're not getting the whole story, because we've seen so much fake news with BLM that it wasn't violent. They ain't burning anything down. That was George Soros that backed it. And people acting like they're naive. We've seen what happened with the pandemic. So now we know we cannot trust our media anymore. We're like any third world country of propaganda.
Yeah.
And everybody's after Putin right now.
This is the problem.
But they're not talking about chemical warfare that's on different properties in Ukraine. Why not? Why are we talking about oil shortages when we have no oil shortage?
There's no oil shortage.
Why are we talking about doing business with Iran? Why is Russia brokering that deal with the Iran nuclear program? Why are we talking about doing business with Venezuela when you said they were our enemy? Why are you sending $4 billion to Iran with Obama? And if you look at Obama years ago, he got caught on a hot mic. So they've been after fucking with Putin for a long time.
Right.
So we're not getting the true story.
No, they're working with Putin. They're working with him.
And it doesn't mean that I don't sympathize with those people in Ukraine that are dying.
Yeah, no, that's the
but
shit.
I don't sympathize.
It's a tragedy to look at that.
I don't
shit.
sympathize with the governments. The governments are full of shit.
John, let me say.
And I think the only president, and we all know who I'm going to say, is the only one that actually loved America, cared about America, didn't make a dime.
Lost money. He lost billions.
When guys like Obama come into office, and he's worth $1 billion now. How did that happen on a $400,000 salary?
Yeah, no, so, I'll tell you the
this
great.
is the problem. And people are so.
You're gonna get us banned, John.
Wait,
Would you stop? You're gonna get us fucking shadow banned.
When they say and they con the public that are naive or don't understand politics, and they say, "Well, will you be willing to pay $5 a gallon for gas?" Well, I would for the Ukrainian people. This is the United States again diverting what's going on in this country. They're all trying to stay rich, and I don't know any kid from my neighborhood that comes from the hood that can afford an electric car. Exactly. And then on top of that, those cars are 50, 60, 70,000. Exactly. Then you got to have stations. Yeah. But how are these fucking people in my neighborhood going to afford this? And then we're dependent on communist China because they own 2/3 of the minerals in the Congo.
I thought Biden's son owns a third of the fucking Congo.
Let's stop the bullshit with this United States fucking propaganda. We can't even believe what we hear on the news anymore.
And I'll tell you, John, I can sum it up this way, and it's a great way to dissect the word. You use the word politics. And Larry Mazza said that when he was in this studio. Let's break down the word. Poly means many, and ticks are blood-sucking insects. Politics.
Oh, very good. I like that.
Do you see what Biden has done to this country in a year? You know how unsafe the world is?
No, here's what I want to know, John. Give me a minute.
All right,
I want to know, and listen, we were born Democrats. Were you born a Democrat?
Everybody was middle of the road before.
Right. I was
now
born
it's
a
all
Democrat.
to the left. It's
and I'm not against Democrat
Either
people.
am I. I like Joe Manchin.
What I want to know is where's those 38%? Show me that. See, I see these polls. Matt, I see these polls.
Yeah.
Well, I'm telling you.
It says 38% of the country agrees with this guy.
It was just like the other election.
Can you show me one?
Yeah, they vote 10 times.
One guy, then tell me who he is.
10 times they vote like
she.
the election.
I want to know who or she is.
Not to get too political, but it's Women's
I just want to know.
International Women's Month, and the Democrats had a great candidate in this last election was Tulsi Gabbard.
Oh, yeah,
she's
they
fantastic.
attacked her. They attacked her.
And they drummed her out of the party. And the Democrats, just to say my 2 cents, Democrats used to be the party of the working people, the unions, helping people and with medical, whatever. Now they've gone so far out there.
Yeah, well, they're a communist.
It's crazy. Yeah, but also with all this stuff of trying to get people canceled.
Well, look at that big bird in New York, that dummy de Blasio.
Look
Big bird.
He's a
Pepe
Marxist.
Le Pew.
He's a Marxist.
Last year they got Pepe Le Pew canceled, the cartoon canceled.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
Well, it's people are so weak to put up with this, but the parents are fighting back now.
Yeah.
But I want to tell you one thing because you brought up Women's Month, and hopefully Victoria comes on. And on my show, and
maybe she'll pop in.
She's an attorney here.
Maybe she'll pop in or
at the
call
Bernie
in.
Group.
She's in Dominican Republic right now.
She's
Yeah, I
one of the
interviewed her.
attorneys.
Yeah,
and she's also in Sports Illustrated.
Yeah, great announcement to make. She was our last guest here in the studio.
What's her full name? Victoria what?
Victoria Vesh. Her dad is actually Italian from the Bronx. Her mom is southern from North Carolina. Great young lady, and she's now part of Sports Illustrated swimsuit. So we want to give her a huge congratulations. She's, I believe, filming in the Dominican Republic. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I'd like to be a swimsuit designer. Just for the day.
Want to see, hopefully we see her in Christy Martin. People that don't know who she is.
Boxer.
Yep, you know. is one of the original faces of women boxing.
I
that
trained
actually
with a
popularized it.
girl. I trained with a girl that fought Christy Martin. Her name was Christine Rocket Robinson. If you watch, she fought Christy Martin. She fought Layla Ali. Everybody forgets about. If you want to get Rockin' on, I'd love to get her on your show. She's a great boxer, big, heavy-handed. And when I used to train with boxers, I used to train in what we call shoot boxing. Like take them down, they box me, and I defend and shoot for their legs, tie them up. And she's a great female boxer. She trained some female fighters that I was coaching back 10, 12 years ago.
Was she at the Salt Shack?
Christine
Was
Rockin'
she-
Robinson.
Ben, hey Ben, was she at the Salt Shack last night?
This is Christine Rockin' Robinson.
Was
She might be.
Was she at the
She
Salt
might have
Shack?
been.
You brought us to the Salt Shack last night, right?
She was a great boxer, Rockin' Robinson. She fought Christy
I
Martin.
got to tell you something. I got to go back to the.
She might have been.
I got to go back to politics for a second. I got to finish with politics.
Oh, here, because he's got a bug in his ass. He's got to
I-
go.
I-
It is your
because you know
show.
why?
It is your show.
I'm gonna tell
All
you
right.
why.
Right now.
I
We're
tell
going to
you,
move it
my
over to
show,
Matt.
my show is about uniting people, not dividing
That's
people.
true. Yes.
Yeah.
That's right.
I don't like how they try to con people and
Oh,
cause
yeah.
the BLM division.
Sure.
Yet, if you cared about black lives, Spanish lives, any life that doesn't
Asian
have money,
lives.
I got
middle
one-
class down,
I got
how
one
can
for
they
you.
afford gas prices?
Of
at
course, and-
6,
and
7,
wait.
8, 9, and they're going to keep going. And now Biden's new excuses. That's why they wanted the war. To blame Putin
Exactly.
that our gas prices are up, but has nothing
I
to
got
do with
one
it.
for you guys. I got one for you guys.
Well, how about food prices?
I got one for you
How
guys.
about-
Food. I can't. I want to know who's buying lunch.
Go ahead, tell me.
Guys, I got
Fuck
one
food
for
prices.
you.
I want to know who's
Listen
buying
to
lunch.
this.
He is.
This was kind of. I'll get you. This will kind of sum it up,
You
guys.
sure?
This
Because
will
I'll hold you to your word.
This will kind of. This will kind of
Drink
sum it
Cristal
up.
at lunch.
Yeah,
I don't
keep
drink,
filling
but
you
I'll
up on
try it.
water, so you. But let me.
Furman water.
Let me ask you guys this. You mentioned BLM, and everybody can agree that Black Lives Matter, right? Okay. And you mentioned the wars in international politics. Well, let's think about this, okay? Hillary Clinton, when she was Secretary of State, she had Gaddafi whacked.
This is
in
the
Libya.
criminal.
Listen,
She's the
she
she's the head
Well, listen
gangster.
to this, Mike.
She's the head
Listen to
gangster.
this, Mike. Yeah, listen.
She's the head gangster.
Listen to this. Absolutely.
Straight up.
She had Gaddafi whacked in Libya. Okay, that was the most stable state in the Middle East.
Yeah.
But listen to this. After she had him taken out, Libya became a failed state. And you know what the bedrock of their economy is? Black African slavery. Black Africans are sold every day in open slave markets in Libya in 2022. So you want to say Black Lives Matter? You want to say we care about people in the world? Everybody talking about Ukraine. What about Libya? What about what Hillary Clinton did to create that, our own country did to create that situation in Libya? So it's all a con. You know, it's all a work.
Obama's from Chicago. He did nothing
Yeah.
for the inner cities. He did nothing for school, universities, and black colleges. Trump had to do it. And he gave 10 years through Tim Scott in his program. And I got to give hats off to Tim Scott because he's talking about education. When these people are trying
South
to
Carolina.
hold the middle class down,
Nice guy,
and they're
too.
trying
Gentleman.
to keep the lower
Absolute
class
gentleman.
in the sewer, they don't care about black lives. They don't care about Spanish. They only care about the top 1%. And this is what this is about, to crush the rest of the middle class in America, like everywhere else, and equal equality from other countries, Venezuela and Iran. All of a sudden, you got Biden that wants to do business with Iran and Venezuela, where they've been bad-mouthing him for the last 50 years that he's been involved in
Look,
politics.
they're all failed coups. I mean, you know, people don't realize this.
Listen.
They're all failed coup attempts. The ones that are against us, pretty much. You go to Iraq, right? There was a failed coup attempt there.
Yeah.
You go to Iran, there was a
yeah,
failed coup
yeah.
attempt there. Go to Ukraine, a failed coup.
But when you vote,
Actually, we won a coup attempt in Ukraine,
yeah.
but now this is a new coup.
Yeah.
This is a new coup.
Exactly.
yeah, when you run for a government position in this country, you run under the idea and our belief in our country of our Constitution. When it doesn't say anywhere in there where we have to look out for Iran before the United States. Because you want to send $4 billion. Why don't you send $4 billion to the inner city of Chicago so those kids stop
Exactly.
killing each
We
other?
do nothing about
Why don't you
Chicago.
do something about Brownsville, Brooklyn? Why don't you do something about Camden, New Jersey?
Hey, John.
Why don't you do something
John,
with
2
Maryland,
million people,
Baltimore, Maryland,
2 million people
Detroit.
fled Ukraine. 2 million people crossed into Texas and Arizona this year.
Do you know how many people
Yeah.
died in Ukraine right now, civilians? They say around 500. Let's triple that number and say it's 1,500. Do you know how many by opening our border, our war on opioids? There's 150,000 kids that are going to die this year from opioids.
Absolutely.
Think about those
And we
numbers.
have the Berman Group to
And
represent
those same people want to put walls around their houses, but they won't put a wall around Texas, Arizona, around Mexico, right, to stop this. But they want to go to Ukraine and tell us we're going to fight that war. We're going to help them. How about helping everybody that's dying here?
They talk
150,000. And again, I feel bad for
Yeah, they speak
Ukraine.
nonstop now. It's the word propaganda. It was nonstop for 2 years.
Well, this is the new
and now
this is the new diversion.
And what they do is it's very easy to manipulate the minuscule-minded miscreants, I say, and not most people are good people.
Hey, that's
but most
a gaudy
people,
word.
miscreants. Yeah, that's a long. Yeah, it's an educated
he
word.
stole that from me.
It's an educated
Yeah,
word.
I
He
know
stole
that.
that from
I
me.
think he stole
I used to say that on my
Instead
old
of saying
podcast.
punk, they say miscreant. It sounds educated.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't mean punk.
But
street
think
punk.
about
Not jail
Chicago.
punk. That's
how many
jail
people
punk.
die every weekend in Chicago, in Detroit,
Different punks.
and
There's a lot of
all
different
you're
punks.
hearing 24/7 on the news now is Ukraine.
But who
There's
can,
like 10 wars
who
going
can
on in
actually
the world,
believe,
and that's all you're hearing.
Who can believe the media?
Yeah.
This is the problem. Even if you're conning the people in this country, you're not conning the people around the world. They lost respect for us because of the bullshit that they see. So the way we see the bullshit
We have
that
no
they
res- we have
attack
no
Trump,
respect.
we know what that. It doesn't matter. They attack him on every front, nonstop for years because they're afraid of him.
Are you excited?
So when they do it to him, now Putin's their new target.
Are you a little excited, Johnny?
No one, because so many kids' lives are
You're all
being
gassed
ruined.
up here.
I'm gassed up.
Yeah,
Because
you're ready.
everybody.
If they gave us guns,
me
what,
change the
if they
subject.
gave us guns, what would you do? Would you go in?
If it was legal,
Yeah,
go where?
legit, wherever, to fight for
For this country?
No, to
No,
fight.
I want to say
the
I
right
wanna
fight.
say
Fight
what
for this
UFC
country
fighters
in
say.
here.
No,
And,
I wouldn't fight for this government. No.
No, I hate this government
Because
too. Yeah.
9/10 of them are corrupt now,
Yeah.
and they're not like Donald Trump,
Right.
who is just a true American, whether they like him or not. Is arrogant. He loves.
Do you remember the
America.
picture-
And people are trying to say, you know what? Because he's not for this bullshit.
Yeah.
You know,
I just-
Well, let me tell you too. Donald Trump was the only president since Eisenhower who talked about the military-industrial complex.
Yeah.
The only
Yeah.
president.
Yeah, he-
the
his
only
he
president.
left it
Yeah,
in peace.
Exactly.
The world's ready to explode because of these
He
people.
he dealt with construction in New York. He knew how to deal with
He's a
people.
businessman.
He knows BS when he sees
Here's
it.
my
knows-
Yeah.
here's my simple-minded
and he
take.
talks straight. He has no favors.
Here's-
The rest of these politicians have favors.
Here's my
They all over the
simple-minded
world.
Brooklyn cop take on this. Okay, Trump fucked everything up. He walked in and fucked up their game.
Yeah, 100%.
Whether you
He
like it or
exposed
not,
their game.
whether you like it or
Of course,
not,
that's why they
that's
hate
why
him.
we went to that G7 or G8 meeting. They wouldn't even talk to him. When they were talking, they were yelling at him like,
Do you imagine
"You don't understand."
You're telling us we can't drill because of the Green Deal, yet every country's drilling. So how does that make sense? What idiot's buying that? And then you got John Kerry, the guy who lied and said he was on a U-boat during the war. He's flying all over the place on a private jet. With
Never mind that. Never
So you're
mind
tell me
that.
you care about
U-boat
green,
shit.
but you're flying all
Never
over
mind the
place?
U-boat. We're talking about
The green they care about is the
You guys
dollar.
ain't even listening to me anymore. What the fuck? I'm gonna leave.
We
You know,
asked you out.
that U-boat. Never mind the U-boat. I'm sure it got me confused. He went over to Iraq and Iran and spoke to these people while Trump was president and said, "Chill out. We're gonna get him out." Remember this? Am I wrong? Am I telling something wrong?
You got Buttigieg, that imbecile's head of transportation, and he says, well, if you got to spend $9 a gallon, whatever, he said, that's okay. Yeah, you filthy rich bastard. How about the guys from my neighborhood don't make $20,000 a year?
Yeah, tell him to
How
ask
they
his
put
husband.
food on the table when they,
What about people
Tell
that
Buttigieg to
drive,
ask his husband for some money.
that drive for part of their jobs? The cost of gas makes it so they don't even want
trucks?
to work
How about
anymore.
you're a truck driver?
Yeah.
You know what a
Any
drive's
kind
food
of delivery
costs?
driver. Yeah.
Oh, believe me, the cost of food is almost doubled.
All right,
It's almost doubled.
We went all the way off. To
Well, I
politics.
want to end it on a different note, and I just one word, and that word is woo. I caused a little bit of stir with the nature boy Ric Flair, and I want to address that because you brought it up at the top of the show, and it relates here to TBT and the Berman team. I'm going to just tell this quickly. I've known Ric Flair for years. We used to party years ago when I bounced at a bar in Lake Murray, on Lake Murray, Docksides. He used to come there when he was married to Tiffany. This was like 15 years ago. And I don't know, she was like wife number 3. And he used to go there and drown his sorrows because he was having all these problems with Tiffany. Tiffany was so snotty. She was a trainer at my old gym, and she would just never look at you. And I tried to give Rick advice back then, but the king doesn't give advice because wise men don't need it and fools never heed it. I was trying to tell him, look out for these gold diggers. Well, you fast forward to now. I reached out to Rick to be on the show here.
With us?
With us. He would have been in this room if this didn't happen. And I got to explain what happened here, clear this up, because this has been all over the media. So I reached out to the Nature Boy about being here and the Berman team. And he and I, around 2015, there was this beautiful girl, Mexican-Lebanese combination, killer body, beautiful girl that I had with me on Rick's boat in Lake Lanier in Georgia. We stayed with him and Wendy when he and Wendy were first getting together. And he said, man, you got any pictures or any videos? You know, that girl you were with? He goes, send them to me, man. He goes, come on, send them to the Nature Boy. So I said, no, we're not together, but I was with my beautiful Venezuelan girl, Gloria Diferente, and I had a lovely Dominican that I met when I was flying out to California back in November to do the follow-up on my book, Rough and Tumble, which you can buy at erikpaulson.com, the definitive history of MMA and pro wrestling. And as I was flying, I met this beautiful Dominican woman. She was, you want to talk about voluptuous. And she sent...
I'm gonna wipe my chin.
She sent me some videos of herself. She wanted to, sent me some videos of herself, some private videos.
I never heard of that.
And she was giving herself some pleasure. So I, of course, sent him to the Nate, and he said, "Oh man, this is spectacular." Well, then later that afternoon, I get a phone call, and I was real busy, and he goes, "Man, you got to call Wendy, and you got to let her know those videos. You meant to send them to your friend, right? Your other friend, not to me." And I said, "Okay, whatever." So I was busy. I kind of put it out of my mind, and then later that night, Matt, all in caps, kill yourself. You never called Wendy. You're causing me so much trouble, you bastard. And then his next message was, "Oh, those girls you send me those videos of, they don't stack up to Wendy." So obviously she was looking at his phone.
Here we go.
So I am a personality.
I've been here.
Also personality on the Hannibal TV. So when I found out that they were splitting up, I made it, a little story about it, little videos. So then the next
Not a naked one with.
No, just kind of letting people know and hiding his number, of course. And then I reached out to Wendy. They were in Rosemary Beach on the west side. Sent her a picture of myself in the pool. She and I are flirting back and forth. She says, "He's unbearable. Maybe he come for some mimosas, whatever." She turns around, sends that to him. And then I get a message that night of Rick with my picture, and he's threatening me. He's gonna find me. He's gonna find where I live. And I said, "Rick, I wish you nothing but the best, you and Wendy." He said, "Why don't you send her a picture of your little prick?" And I said, "Well, I can't fit it in the
long wide angle lens."
So then, I wished him the best, and he's F you, all this. Yeah. So we made another story about it. So a couple days later, I get a phone call, private number. And I happened to,
You thought it was your probation officer, I know.
Exactly. So I pick it up.
Never know.
It's Rick. He says, "This is Rick." Ooh. He said, "You son of a bitch." He says, "This is your last warning. If you go near Rosemary, I'm going to hunt you down." And I said, "Calm down, Rick." I said, "It's cool. It's all good." I said, "I'm just joking. I'm just playing around, joking with her." He goes, "A joke is when everyone's laughing, and I'm not laughing."
Oh, wow.
So I made a big story about it, and I went on a wrestling show and confronted his late son, Reed Flair's best friend and protege. Reed was a great amateur wrestler, and I had to take my coat off and just give the little boy a lesson. Choked him out, slapped him in the figure four, and I got on the mic and I said, "Rick, I stole your woman, and I stole your hold.
Oh, my God.
And if you still had it, I'd steal your gold." Woo! Woo! So that's a story that's going on. Get you guys caught up to it. To kind of take the pressure off all this politics. Something a little more
Yeah.
Well, I
lighthearted.
want to see Hulk Hogan. That's what I'm going to try to get on.
Monday night.
Yeah.
Monday night. He does the karaoke out in.
I had a Sunny Beach story. No one wants to hear my Sunny Beach
Let's
story.
close. You want to close with the Sunny Beach story because Massimo's waiting for us.
Oh yeah, you got.
You want? Well, should I put it off for something else?
Yeah, put it off.
I can put
Yeah,
it off.
put it
There.
on the Massimos.
Yeah.
Nah, you wet everybody's appetite. Why don't you? You want to close?
Oh,
it?
we
No?
want them to watch
Okay,
the next
okay.
one. Now.
Yeah.
He's gotta
You'll hear the
watch-
Sunny
Okay,
Beach
yeah.
story on the next one.
Everybody, if you're looking for me, True John Alite on Instagram, my website johnalite.com, and anybody who wants any bats that we sign, they're on my website. Reach out to us. My books, Mafia International. I have 5 books on the site. You guys can go on there, pictures, photos, and we have new cigars coming out. The Elite cigar and wine, hopefully, in the near future.
The Mike Dowd, anywhere.
Yeah, just you can check me out on Facebook, Matthew J. Granahan. Like I said, I may not look Irish, but you should see my temper. Or on Instagram, king.of.Connecticut,
temper.
spelled out.
That big temper.
Hit the subscribe button if you like the show, and we have
But his tongue is
several
huge.
good guests in the next couple of weeks coming on. Everybody have a great weekend, and God bless be with the Ukrainian people, the Russian people, and the end to the war. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.